week we're joined by someone who has set up a non-profit organisation to support young people who are struggling with communication. It's Kristy Davies. Hi, Kristy. Welcome to the show.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
Before we get into your non-profit organisation, can you just explain to everyone a bit about who you are and where you grew up and stuff?
Yes, of course. Again, I'm Kristy. I am in New Jersey on the East Coast. And I grew up here. I moved around quite a bit after high school, got a couple different degrees. Long story short, came back to the same area. And here I have my own private practice now. I have 3 lovely children, my doctorate in speech language pathology. And we're here with my husband and 2 dogs. And yeah, like you said, I now have a nonprofit as well.
Okay. And what made you go into the field of speech language? It's quite a specialised area.
Yeah, I loved working with individuals, deaf, hard of hearing, who use sign language. And at the time at University of Maryland, speech language pathology was the closest thing to that. I went to 2 colleges at the same time, one at night and one in the morning. But then I went to a summer camp, and it had all young adults or older adolescents with special needs. And so it was also around the same time that my own grandmother was late stage dementia and was not able to communicate and had some other swallowing and dysphagia eating needs. And obviously it's pretty heart-wrenching to watch your family kind of go through that and not be able to communicate with you that, they're having some sort of struggle. So then during the summer camp, I was with peers of my age, but they were not able to communicate. Not all of them, but some. And so that kind of just started hitting at my heartstrings, and I tried to figure out how to make sign language and speech language degree into something that would form into this new area of passion for me. So it just kind of started snowballing from there.
Okay, so you set up the organisation. What do you do?
So well, I guess it started first with my private practice. I started to get rid of some red tape, because I wanted to help these same individuals with communication needs. And there's a lot of, corporate red tape out there. So I just opened my own to try to get around it. But, here in America, we're still dictated by insurance, right? And if we're not dictated by insurance, you're hoping that somebody can fund it. And not all families or parents can fund such high level specialized therapies that their children need. And especially these devices that I'm talking about, these communication devices are like $3,000, $7,000, $15,000, up to 20, depending on the accessories and the exact need. So, I quickly realized in starting the private practice that it still wasn't enough, because even though I could get rid of certain red tape, there was the insurance piece. So, I always had it in my mind to figure out how to start the nonprofit. So, the new year is, I think everybody creates their own goals. Mine tend to be more business related. So December was rolling around, a few months ago. And I said, like enough's enough. I have to figure out how to make this work, how to help more people. So I started my nonprofit in January. I'm doing it with a parent. Her name's Darcy, and she, and my husband as well, because he has a very different analytical mind than me. It's, that yin and yang. But Darcy has a son, and that's how we met, because she was at a different private practice where they told her like he wasn't ready to communicate, right? Like he wasn't ready to do all the things that I feel as though he could do. So we started a Voices Heard, nonprofit for children who need AAC, which is Augmentative Alternative Communication. And it's a few months in, and so we're really just kind of hitting the ground and trying to get our name out there, and we're trying to just let people know that it's there. I started some play groups for children who have communication needs. So we've been doing that monthly, and it's really been getting some great traction. So we're hoping that the teeny little class fees and other donations and some fundraisers that we hope to start having in the near future will build the traction, as well as some scholarships and grants to start granting devices ourselves, again, which are thousands of dollars, and the necessary therapies for these kids who have such communication needs. So we're still in early stages, but we are moving right along. So we're super excited about it. And are definitely already starting to support. A lot of families are feeling more connected when we get to meet every month, and they're feeling like we're kind of building a tribe, right? Like these families don't really get the same warm and fuzzy sometimes. If they go to like a jump park or even a regular outdoor community park, their children might not be able to socially engage or communicate with their peers who are verbally speaking. And so, it's sometimes disheartening for them. So to be able to create this community of safety and security for them, that their kids can still play and they can play with peers, that communicate just like they do. So it makes everybody, feel a little bit more at ease.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. So the last 20 years, I've worked in the learning disability field in education, and therapy sessions are such a key part into bringing a young person's sort of personality out. So 100%. It's about, as you said, it's about us finding a way to communicate, not us expecting them to communicate. If they're not communicating the way we want them to, then sitting there and turning our backs on them. I think it's down for us to change our approach to make sure, because once someone can get heard, it's such a rewarding job. Like the young people are amazing.
That is exactly it. Yeah, I think so many times, we get stuck in like, this is what I'm expecting him or her to do versus like, well, what do they want to say or do? Like it's not about what I want him or her to say or what I am expecting him to say at this moment. It's really, let's teach and give them the tools so they can say whatever they want to say whenever they want to say it. The goal is I always say, like, to remove myself, right? Like to get myself out of a job. I don't want to have to continue supporting. So I want them to be able to advocate and to feel that purpose-driven life themselves, to do these things independently, because then they'll feel fulfilled and motivated to continue. I'm glad I can be in their back pocket, but at the end of the day, it's really about them and their network, which is their family and their close peers and, neighbors and friends. I'm here to help and I'm happy to help, but you don't want help your whole life, like you notice when something's going on and you constantly have to have help. So that's my goal for them, and their family is. So the one major thing I'm looking to do is to create supports and systems for the parents, because there is no parent handbook, right? And then when there's no parent handbook and then you have a child who has complex communication needs, there's certainly not a parent handbook. And I'm looking to, support them and let them figure out how to make their own handbook, right? You don't have to follow the rules. There are no rules to follow, but they still need to feel empowered and knowledgeable enough to support their child. They have to trust so many people. They have to trust teachers and speech therapists and OTs and PTs and ABA behavioralists and you name it. Like they have to trust so many people that I think it's just so important that we give them the resources and tools to be able to advocate.
During your time running your practice and obviously set up this organisation, has there been anything that when you've left that day you thought, oh my God, like that was like so overwhelming, I didn't expect that to happen?
That happens. Yeah. I mean, that happens. I have like a lot of aha moments after an evaluation, because you really get to start to open that education door for the family, right? When you actually, how many times have we gone to the doctor and the doctor's face is just like in his computer, right? And we feel so unheard, right? And we're like, no, like my right arm hurts. And only when he's like, and he's just typing away and not listening, right? And really, you just wanted to feel heard. So I sometimes leave some of these evaluations, for new families, and you get the warm and fuzzies because I think that they have an aha moment and they feel heard, like, oh my goodness, she gets it. Right. And so we create like a learning path. We create like a mission for them, and their mission for them is not the same as the next mission for the kiddo I talk to in the next block, So, and seeing these kids interact together on those monthly groups that the nonprofit holds, is that gives me the warm and fuzzies every time. Like I posted on Facebook a couple months ago during one of those groups, who wants to get up early on a Saturday when you're not working? And I was like, I do. And you post pictures like that and like this, this is my reason, this is the reason why I do what I do.
If people want to help support the organisation, where can they find you and stuff?
Yeah, sure. We're new to all of it, but we are now on Facebook, Voices Heard. We have a website, voicesheardaac.org. It's linked to a PayPal account, and we're slowly getting all the other appropriate funds linked up, because everybody uses so many different kinds, at least here on the East Coast. Venmo's certainly huge. we ourselves are creating educational podcasts specific to parent training and just this concept of advocacy for AAC and for individuals who use and need augmentative alternative communication. So you can stay tuned. Actively Achieving Communication is going to be launching in the next couple months, so we're super excited about that. I constantly am trying to put as much as I can on my own practice page, Speech Language Associates. But the more things will come on the website itself, voicesheardaac.org.
Okay, and we'll put all the links in the description below. I've got one last question, and this is a question I ask every guest. Your answer will not change your life journey so far, but if you could have 30 seconds with your 13-year-old self, what would you say?
Oh my gosh, I feel like you should have warned me for this one. I would just say, I'd probably say life is more than what you see it right now. And keep being positive and know that even though you don't know your mission, and these are all big words, that it will come together, and don't be hard on yourself. And know that even if it's baby steps, you're still making a difference.
Really good advice. Well, Kristy, thank you so much for joining us. I'd love you to come on in about 6 to 8 months' time so we can see how much you've grown. If the invite's there, if you'd like to come back on.
Yeah, excellent.
And keep up the good work. I think the organisation sounds really, really good, and fingers crossed for you in the future. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.